Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome to Divorce Happens, the show where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with one of our longtime Fresh Starts experts, Robyn, talking about something that is really, I feel like, not talked about and part of the whole divorce process, which is what happens when you go through divorce and you lose your inner light. And so before we jump into this very important conversation, Robyn, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, Olivia. It's great to be here today. My name is Robyn Gaillard, and I'm a mind-body connection, integration, wellness clinician and practitioner, healing arts practitioner. So basically, that's the long version. But yes, they definitely help you find your light during seasons of struggle. And it is a little bit of a dance between our biology and our spirituality. And so that's how I work with clients, and I'm no stranger to the stressors of life and certainly the stressors of divorce. And really that's how I came to this work, which was just kind of, feeling lost at sea and drowning. And, my body, my biology showed me that through illness and disease. And it was a real pivotal moment for me to, start to tread water and find the shore and get onto it and stand up. And as I figured out how to do that, my disease healed and shifted without medical intervention. And, when I was on the shore and drying off and feeling like, okay, I made it out of the water, I asked myself, well, how did I get here? How did I do this? Because it felt like, obviously there were people in my real life who were teachers and helpers and guides, but it felt like a spiritual journey. And so it kind of got me realizing, like, this question that I pose is like, how do you hold your light in a season of struggle? And if you could kind of take that, 30,000 foot view of, what is being asked of me at the highest possible level in this period of real challenge. And, I like to use the lighthouse metaphor too, that, you need to keep your light on and charged so you can stand in your station and shine and beam your light. And when that light dims or goes out, the boats who need the lighthouse light won't see it and they won't be able to go where they're supposed to go. And, as a mother, you need a strong lighthouse. As a friend and a wife and a person, we need our lighthouse, our body to be strong. We need our light to be shining. I believe it never goes out. I believe it gets dim. We go into what I call low charge or low voltage, and we need to kind of plug in and charge again. So, one of the ways that I do that with clients is to really look at, what's going on biologically. I do it through the communication of the nervous system, our circadian health biology, the rhythms and flow versus stagnation, and also what's going on at the cellular level. So there is a lot of health and biology involved in our conversation, but then it's like, okay, let's flip to the other side and look at this in terms of like the body, your biology is revealing something to you about your flow state or lack thereof. And if we can do some work in your terrain and do some work around understanding that, then those small ways that you can take control of your daily life will accumulate and improve your charge. So yes, you can do all of this in and outside of your circumstances, right? And it's that dance, support, and practice of like, here's my challenge and here's where I can kind of stay fully charged. And when you are fully charged, as I learned, you could handle your challenge from a place of strength, not a place of weakness. And you make better choices, you get better outcomes. And that also improves your vitality and charge and helps you see, okay, this is just a stressor. I can handle this.
Yes, absolutely. All of that. And I think that we don't think about our light as being important when we're going through those dark times, but it's actually during those dark, hard struggles, which it's the most important time, right? To keep your light ablaze. And it's that reframe, right? Of like, maybe this is actually the journey that I'm supposed to be on, right? It's not that this was thrown at me to make my life harder, but that this is actually a lesson that I need to be getting through.
What's the spiritual ask? And look, there's nothing worse than somebody who says to you when you're down and out, like, you've got this. This is
Right.
supposed to happen. Da, da, da.
Yeah,
So,
no, no.
there's a time
Yeah,
and place for that kind of feedback
yeah,
because
yeah,
certainly when you are like not okay, you're not okay. And
yep.
you shouldn't see it from a higher place. That's bypassing what's really happening.
Yes,
Yes, I think it's about, okay, what's the higher ask and how do I move through the emotions I'm supposed to move through, understand what's happening biologically? How do I heal any chronic health condition and kind of shore up the channels that keep the vitality flowing and keep me in a state of shine and service and not so depleted. It's okay to deplete. It's okay, to
right.
like have a mental struggle or an emotional setback or even a health condition. It's again like you don't have to stay sick if your circumstances are making you sick, there's a way through it where you can go through it in a healthy way. I think is something that I want people to remember that you don't have to die from your struggles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, but I love what you said before of like taking control of the little things in your daily life will keep that flame going. So what does that look like, Robin?
So it's a lot of terrain support. So first and foremost, talking with people about this idea that your emotional state is kind of like the thermostat in your house. And if you turn the heat or air conditioning to a certain temperature, then the system works to hold that temperature setting. Well, your body works in a very similar way physiologically, especially when it comes to your emotional state. So if you are overwhelmed most of the time, your body goes, okay, that's what the temperature, that's the emotional temperature you want me to be at for most of the time. So I will hold you there. I will hold that state for you. Thank you, body. And
Right.
so I think helping people recognize that you have more control over how you turn the dial or what your emotional states are, and talking about emotions from more of a physiological place too, of like, how you breathe and your heart rate is really your biology showing you what emotions you're holding on to. And I think that that's like the first place I like to go to with people and clients I work with, because I think a lot of the time people focus on their thinking. That's important. But my belief, and based on my certifications and the work that I do, is that actually your emotions trigger your thoughts. So I wouldn't go to the mind, I go to the heart and the emotional baselines. And we kind of pull apart and identify. It's really hard for people actually to identify the emotions that they feel. It's actually a lot harder than you would think. And we try to get our kids to do it all the time. And it's like, it's actually a really hard thing to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and then understanding that sometimes, when you're shifting from one to another, first you have to pull out of the emotion that you've gotten so used to holding and like wait there, kind of find neutrality before you can move into a state or emotional state that brings you into a higher state of coherence. It's basically we're working in the quantum field, we're working in the coherence fields. And so we're bringing alignment through quantum coherence. And so it's all like in the field, but that's where the shift happens. And then you see in the projection, in the biology and how life, projects back to you. So emotions is number one, and understanding set points and baselines, and then also terrain support. So I do a lot with quantum biology and circadian biology. What is your sleep patterns? What are your sleep patterns? How is your bedroom stayed up? How much screen time are you getting? How much exposure to artificial light are you versus natural light? Do you go outside? Have you seen the sunrise? Do you walk? Do you move your body? So just a lot of these. Are you grounding? I mean, our GPS for the body, for the soul, is getting your feet in the ground. So really,
Mhm.
basic things that we all know about, but let's thread it back into where you are now, where you've been before, what you can achieve, what you can realistically do in short manageable increments, and then using that data, building these habits and choices and practices, and noticing then the correlation to your vitality and sort of then the influence on your nervous system, that's where the emotions are projected, but also then your immune system, your digestive system, your sleep habits, your cortisol
Yeah.
spikes. So all of these sort of patterns in hormones, neurotransmitters, all of this can be discussed and handled and addressed. So that's the sort of the medical piece or the health piece through understanding your terrain, your environment, and your emotions. So we just toggle, and things always come up. And then we kind of, through that yin and yang, we kind of dance through
Mm.
spiritual and the biological aspect of what's going on. And really, like a stressor, you know, stress is really our emotional response to the stressors in our life. So that's where, faith is really important, right? You feed faith or you feed fear. People have relationships with God and religion. That's personal, but it does weigh in terms of what are you feeding? What are you feeding the field? What are you projecting? And if you could hold faith and hold ease and remember gratitude and shift your emotional state, right? Turn the dial on the thermostat, there's a whole physiological realignment that happens in the body, but also then in the quantum field. That's the coherence piece. And then it's sort of like, oh, I exist outside of my circumstances. I exist outside of the ups and the downs. And so when I am whole and the observer and I'm outside of my circumstances, I know what's mine to do. I know what actions to take. I know that I'll get through it because I've been through stuff before, but that also like it's not going to tear me down. I can weather the storm. So, in essence, they teach you how to sail the boat, right? You got to be on the water no matter the weather. So, can you ride the waves? Can you handle the storms? Can you sail the still waters? Can you hold your light no matter the weather?
Oh, I love that. And that ultimately is going to help you through the divorce process and get you to the other side.
It did for me. And that's
Yeah.
how I started to, the books fell off the shelves for me, as they said. And it was like, oh my gosh, all this work of rewiring and understanding the body and the correlation for me just because, I do have a very, very, very deep relationship with God, creator. And I really feel that there's a connection to ourselves and God and our spirituality and that mind body connection piece, that moving from a place of wholeness keeps your life at its fullest charge for the longest amount of time. And we need you. There's only one you. So it doesn't mean that if you're going through a hard time, you're down and out. And we are all people who go through ups and downs. And if you can get through something in a full charge and hold your light, then you are able to be of service in the world. And that's the cycle of life I want to be a part of. Right. And so when you're going
Mhm.
through a divorce, it is a terrible thing to go through. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the broken dream, you're on the boulevard of broken dreams, right? Everything you ever
Mhm.
believed
Mhm.
about what life is supposed to be like or feel like is not true anymore in that moment. And
Yeah.
you don't get to go back. You don't. You have to experience grief. You have to experience loss. You have to rebuild your belief systems. Everything is fractured. It feels really, really hard. People who go through death, these are very high stress, long lasting life circumstances. And it is not easy, but you are not alone, and it's not okay that it's common. I know a lot of people go through it, but at the same time, I always remember, and I know we've talked about this before. It's
Mhm.
like for me, like I had someone to call who was 6 months along or 2 years along. And I get those
Mhm.
phone calls now from somebody who's about 2 or 6 months out or 3 years away.
Yeah.
It's really, when you have been through something and you can connect deeply with somebody else about what it's like, you've created a connection that is so deep and so meaningful in terms of what it means to be a friend, to be
Yeah.
supportive, and to understand that, like understanding in relationship outside of a marital relationship. And I pray that everyone finds whatever their next is, but you really can't evolve or get to the other side of the mountain without reckoning with your health and yourself and
Mm.
light.
Oh, love it. I love it so much, Robin. If people want to work with you, you work virtually as well?
Yes, I'm mostly virtual these days. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
To the technology.
Of course. You can find Robyn over at Fresh Starts Registry in the expert guide and go to freshstartsregistry.com/experts and hear more of Robyn's podcast, her radio show, read more of her stuff, and get to know her a little bit more. And if you are longing for your light, please reach out to Robyn and she will help you reflame that light that is just dimmed. Yeah, reflame the claim. Thank you so much, Robyn. We appreciate you so much.
Oh, it's always good to talk to you, Olivia. Thank you.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.